We need to talk about a really common and frankly pretty dangerous misunderstanding when it comes to the electrical safety in our homes. It's a myth that so many people believe, and it could be deadly.
So, picture this. You've been there, right? Something overloads, the power cuts out, you hear that little click from the fuse box, you go, you reset the switch, the circuit breaker did its job, so you're safe. Seems logical enough.
But the shocking answer is no. That standard circuit breaker all by itself gives you absolutely zero protection from the most common way people are fatally electrocuted. And that's the critical myth we're going to bust right now.
Okay, so to really get why, we have to understand what this device everyone thinks they know actually does. Let's start calling the circuit breaker what it really is, the wire protector. Now what's so important here is the specific wording. A circuit breaker has one main mission and one mission only: to protect the cables that are inside your walls from getting way too much current, overheating, and starting a fire. Its job is to protect your property, not you. Just think of your wiring like a water pipe. When everything's flowing normally, it's all good. But what happens if you try to force a massive surge of water through it? That pipe would burst. Well, an overcurrent is pretty much the electrical version of that. The wires get dangerously hot, and just before they can actually catch fire, trip. The breaker slams on the brakes and shuts off the power. It is a fire prevention device, first and foremost. So here's the crucial thing to remember. Circuit breakers are designed to spot huge problems. I'm talking about massive faults, the kind of things we measure in many, many amps, the kind of current that could literally melt wires. It's looking for a catastrophe in the wiring. Now let's meet the real hero of our story when it comes to protecting people. This is the RCD, which stands for Residual Current Device. This is the true lifesaver. And this is where the whole game changes. See, the amount of electricity it takes to melt a wire is enormous, but the amount it takes to stop a human heart, it's terrifyingly small. How small are we talking? Just 30 milliamps. That's 0.03 of a single amp. An incredibly tiny trickle of electricity is all it takes to be fatal. And this really drives the point home. That lethal amount of current is so small that to your standard circuit breaker, it's just background noise. It's completely invisible. The breaker won't even flinch. It won't trip. It will do absolutely nothing to save you. So how does an RCD save your life? Well, it's a brilliant little detective. It doesn't really care about the total amount of power being used. What it does is constantly compare the current flowing out on the live wire to the current flowing back on the neutral wire. They should be perfectly balanced. If even a tiny bit goes missing, the RCD instantly assumes it's leaking out somewhere it shouldn't be, like through your body, and it cuts the power in under 30 milliseconds. That's faster than a heartbeat, and it's fast enough to save your life. Okay, let's put this side by side because this is really the core of what you need to know. The circuit breaker protects wires from big faults to stop fires. The RCD protects people from small leaks to stop electrocution. They have two totally different jobs, they are two different devices, and they are not interchangeable. So, if you need both kinds of protection, what does a modern setup look like? Well, that brings us to the best of both worlds, the RCBO. An RCBO is pretty simple, really. It's a single device that does both jobs. It protects the wires from overcurrent, just like a breaker, and it protects people from those small earth leaks, just like an RCD. This is pretty much the modern standard for safety, and it's what you'll find in most new installations these days. All right, this theory is all well and good, but let's make it practical. What does this actually mean for the safety of your home right now? Wiring regulations all over the world really focus on the high-risk spots. And that's basically anywhere you might find electricity and water close together. So we're talking about places like bathrooms, kitchens, and any outlets you have outside. In these areas, having RCD protection isn't just a nice idea. It is absolutely critical. So here's a direct question for you to think about. When was the last time the electrical system in your house was updated or looked at by a professional? Because here's the reality check. If your home's wiring is more than, say, 15 or 20 years old, there's a very good chance that some, or maybe even all, of your socket circuits are missing this life-saving RCD protection. Older regulations just didn't require it back then. Okay, let's wrap this all up. Let's boil everything we've talked about down into the one simple takeaway that you really need to remember. This table says it all, really. If you forget everything else from this, just remember this. A circuit breaker protects wires from fire, an RCD protects people from shock, and an RCBO does both jobs, protecting wires and people. So, what's the bottom line here? Look,
While you can peek inside your own fuse box, the only person who can tell you for sure if you and your family are properly protected is a qualified electrician. That is the only way to be 100% certain.
And I'm just going to leave you with this final thought. We're all taught to check our smoke alarms, right? We do it to protect our homes from fire. But have you ever, not even once, checked your protection against electric shock? It's a simple question, but knowing the answer could literally save a life.